Oh my gosh, guys, I have to show you the final product of this epoxy in my kitchen countertops. Super pumped. This is a DIY on how to epoxy your countertops for an inexpensive alternative to quartz, marble, or granite. And guys, I have very high-end taste, okay? I sell houses of all price points, but we sell a lot of luxury homes, and I'm in luxury homes. And high-end, we're not just talking, hey, $1.5 million. We're talking high-end. We've been in $20 million homes. And let me just say, so my taste is high and my expectations are very high. Whoa. These epoxy countertops look stunning, and I have very high standards. So let me just say that first. Now, there are some things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to practice. You're going to want to watch a gazillion videos if you're going to do this. They say anybody can do epoxy, but I'm just telling you now, there was definitely a learning curve, and I spent a lot of time learning how to do epoxy. And I practiced on 2 other bathroom vanities before doing my kitchen, because I knew, I'm no dummy, anytime you do something for the first time, you're gonna make mistakes. And I still made mistakes on this 3rd epoxy pour in my kitchen, but holy moly, guys, if you're gonna epoxy this, really big tip before we go through the steps, and I don't care what any YouTuber says because they say anybody can do epoxy countertops. While I do believe that, there is a little bit of a learning curve, okay? So my biggest tip for you is before you do your kitchen, practice on a bathroom countertop. I learned a ton. In fact, I practiced on 2 countertops in bathrooms before I'm going to the kitchen. So I want to show you what I learned. Come on in and don't mind the mess. Okay, so this is the 2nd bathroom that I did, and I think it turned out beautiful. My 2nd attempt, we put a matte finish on it, but I have to show you some of the mistakes I made. One thing I did not do, and they did say this in the tutorials, is when I taped this off with blue tape, I forgot to pull it while it was still wet. And so now, if you look really close, you're gonna see some blue tape that I have to go over and caulk. The second thing is if you are epoxying in a bathroom or a kitchen, there may be some caulk that's already there, because I did not take this backsplash off. I left it there and epoxied over it. But if it's in a bathroom or kitchen, it could be a caulk that is not paintable, okay? I went over this caulk 100 times and it was not absorbing the primer. It would not absorb the epoxy. So I have to show you that as well. And then the 3rd thing is you really have to seal off your sinks very, very well, because both times, and this one as well as the previous, somehow epoxy seeped into my sink. Now with the porcelain sinks, you can easily clean it out, great. I'm not sure how the stainless steel sink is going to go in the kitchen, so we'll find out. These are all the things that I'm using in my epoxy project. We will put a list at the end of the video of everything you're going to need and maybe want. Step 1 to epoxying your countertops is you want to remove the faucet, remove anything like your cooktop or even sink. Step 2 is to sand all the countertops. It doesn't matter what kind, if it's laminate, granite, or whatever you're epoxying over, definitely give them a good sand. Sand these granite countertops with 40 grit sandpaper. We gotta get these bad boys buffed up as much as possible. I am using Ligari products. I want to let you know this is not a Ligari sponsored video. I was just watching their tutorials as well as others, and I felt like this was the best choice for me. They're about $400 to $500 for 1 box, and I think I'll need a little over 1 box because they cover 50 square feet. But this is gonna be a real tutorial. If this doesn't turn out okay, then you'll know. So they say you want to hand sand the edges, especially if you're on laminate or something else. This is granite, so I used my little sander, but they say just to do that. The goal of sanding is to get this top shiny top coat off of this. I don't think that this 40 grit is going to work. I'm probably just going to go ahead and epoxy over it anyways. There is another tool that I don't have that you could use to take this top coat off. I'm just going to do with what I have to work with. So just to give you some insight, since we just purchased this home, it's only about 5 years old. What we want to do is we want to update the granite countertops. You've already noticed that we've sanded down these kitchen cabinets. They were a dark chocolate brown, or say coffee brown, and we're going to paint these black. We've already sanded them. We had professionals put in some backsplash, and we put in some new luxury vinyl plank flooring, which I love. So the next step is to clean the countertops with some isopropyl alcohol, and of course clean up anything else you can find, but that way you get all the dust off of there. Actually, I should have done that before putting the tape on, but it'll be fine. The tape's gonna take the dust off anyway. Prep with tape and plastic so you protect your lovely countertops and floors. After we're done sanding, we are going to tape off the cabinets, the floors. This epoxy can get everywhere, so we gotta spend some serious time and attention to detail when taping off the countertops. Now what I have is I have blue tape and I have masking tape. Blue tape is to protect the countertops, masking tape for the walls, and I have 2 mil, got this at Home Depot. For the floors, it's just plastic drop cloth, and 0.7 mil, or you could do 1 mil maybe, for going around the cabinets here because it's more moldable. I'm not going to give you an in-depth how to tape all of this off, so definitely go find a tutorial for that, but that's our next step. One of the YouTube tutorials said that the #1 mistake in epoxying is when you're putting the plastics over your cabinets, you don't have it taped down well enough and underneath a little bit, because people will kick it, and this is where the epoxy will run off. The epoxy is supposed to run off, and then if there's any kind of leakage here, it can get on the floors. Now we did a double duty here because I have done this in the practice bathrooms, and so we put some paper underneath as well for extra double protection because I'm not a pro at taping. Time to open the box. 2 boxes, so I have 2 of everything. One thing you want to do is de-shed your roller. I don't know if this is a good one or not. It says epoxy, so we're gonna try it. Do that 2 times. We are mixing the primer here. Part B, part A. Mix part A and B together. Pour this whole thing in. Part B, shake it. Okey-dokey. I'm kind of messy. I want to primer the countertops and then wait with the products I'm using, Ligari. You can wait 45 minutes or so, that's all. But sometimes follow the manufacturer's instructions. You may want to wait 24 hours. Step 7 is lay the base coat. I'm going to do a dirty pour. You don't have to do this, but for what I'm doing, I'm gonna lay a base coat. It is day 2. The base coat has dried and we are about to epoxy. So what we're about to do is we're gonna lay a base coat first. And because I want a white marble, I'm actually gonna use probably 2, maybe 3 colors to kind of just marble around. And then I'm gonna mix up my dirty pours and pour over. Step 8 is you're going to make your designs, which is part of the dirty pour. You're gonna pour over different buckets onto your countertops. Alright, the countertops are all prepped to mix the epoxy and lay it out. We're gonna start the artwork. The first process with the art is I'm going to draw just some general lines of what I want to work with first, and then we'll get mixing. Videos like 10 times. Still don't know what I'm doing. Alright, we should be good there. Part B. Here we go. Here's chemistry in the making. Can't leave the epoxy in the buckets too long or they'll start to smoke. And I don't want to burn my house down. So I'm just kind of giving it a good mix first, but I'm actually going to use the drill. Probably didn't need to do that, but let's see. Okay, here we go. This into that bucket and mix again. Because you can't have any epoxy not mixed or you can get soft spots. Alright, so I am now going to make different colors here. I want the clear with the dust. I'm just going to put a little bit of epoxy in each bucket so I can mix. I don't need any more, but I'm just going to take some extra out just in case. Okay. More diamond dust in this. It's not enough quite yet. Ooh, I made a big mess. Okay, that looks great. Let's make it sure it's white. Just a hair. Just a smidgen. Covered up my lines, but that's okay. Epoxy is self-leveling. Just trying to get it spread out a little bit. Adding more stuff. I can always add darker, but I can't ever take away dark.
Okay.
So that's why I want a real good, a lot of white is what I want. Kind of covering up my lovely lines, but at least it kind of gives me a little bit of vision to work with. Okay. That's pretty good, I think. So I don't have much color yet, but I'm digging the spray paint. so much. And the gray, getting a little more risque. Get more covered.
Oh, Dana, look at that. Oh, it's good.
I like this line here. I still want to do one like down there. Step 9 is you're going to add effects. So you can spray it with isopropyl alcohol, 91%, and it gives you a really cool looking effect. Or you can use a heat gun, a torch to make all different types of effects, or even use a paintbrush. Oh, it's working!
What does it do?
I don't know, but it makes effects. Okay, which means step 10 is torch. Now again, I'm using Ligari products and you don't have to torch, but I don't want to miss this step if you're using another product. Step 11 is you want to scrape off the drips, probably every 15 minutes or so until they stop dripping, and remove the blue tape if you're using it on your backsplash. You don't want that blue tape to get suctioned to the wall. Bad mistake I made previously. All right, so now I'm taking off the tape edges and letting the epoxy drip off over the sides. I think I took it off at a good time, and then I'm gonna come back and scrape the bottom here. So now I'm gonna take off the other sides of the kitchen. Perfect timing with my inexperienced self. Okay, so now I have to go along the edges and smooth these sides out because epoxy needs to have a place to run. Seems like this side is not as runny as that first side, but I gotta get all along these edges and a little bit underneath. See, this is dripping really nicely. It's not dripping as much over there. All that's covered up. A little bit underneath. I'm gonna scrape the sides and use some of this excess to help cover up where the primer I didn't do a very good job on the primer over here. So this is a neato trick. See that? Isn't that a good trick? Ooh, yeah, that's better. Yay. It's gonna be a-okay. But that's really the last step, is to scrape the bottom. I just have to be careful of the speckles.
Yeah.
Step 12 is just gonna wait overnight. So about 24 hours, you're gonna come back in and clean it all up. All right, so now all we have to do is let this sit overnight for 24 hours, and then I will come in and clean it up every 20 minutes or so I'm gonna come with another scraping underneath, so it's just kind of a waiting game from here. Can't wait to show you what it's gonna look like. Step 13 is you want to remove all the tape, you want to fix any mistakes, sand it if needed. I noticed when I sanded, it actually removed some of my mistakes, which was super cool. And step 14 is you apply the top coat, let that dry, and voila, you get to enjoy your countertops. Now listen, you may want to wait a few days before putting anything heavy on your countertops. I've heard somewhere on one of the YouTube tutorials, it can take up to 7 days to cure. Okay, real quick, I wanna say that, would I epoxy again? Heck yeah, especially on a home that, I mean, this is a nice home, but it's not like super high-end luxury, but I do have luxury taste, and so would I epoxy in this home again? Yes, I would. And it kind of gives me peace of mind. I spent like $800 total because I had to buy tools and I needed a screwdriver, y'all. I didn't have any tools. We're not handy people. And so I spent about $800 total with Ligari products, and then stone coat for the top art coat as well. And I kind of have a peace of mind going, I only spent $800, you know, I could have easily spent 12 grand on marble countertops, and I don't know if they would look this good, honestly, for this size kitchen. 12,000 for this size kitchen. So anyway, I have peace of mind going, if something happens, if they yellow, I don't think they're gonna yellow, but if they did, I can just do them again. If trends change and suddenly it's brown countertops, I can change them to brown. Like, not that big a deal second time around now that I've learned how to do epoxy, okay? Products, let me talk a little bit about this. I used Ligari products and I thought they were wonderful. Now, Ligari has no idea who I am. I just watched all their videos. I watched Stone Coat and all the YouTubers out there, and I chose Ligari because I was afraid of torching, okay? That's just the honest truth. And there's pros and cons. I also use Stone Coat Top Art Coat because these are white countertops. I wanted to protect them from the UV rays from the sun because epoxy can yellow. On top of that, I'm installing some UV protectant on my windows because there are a lot of windows in this house. So I chose Stone Coat, not because I didn't like Ligari, but I didn't see a product specifically for a top coat, protecting countertops from UV. They do have those, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I did use their matte top coat, but I didn't want to have a texture on my gloss. I have gloss for the middle island because it's just stunning. I couldn't do matte. I was gonna do matte and I couldn't do it. It was just so stunning. I wanted to leave it glossy. I did matte on the back countertops and then glossy in the middle because it's stunning. And I didn't want to put any kind of texture. So I needed a top coat and I used Stone Coat. Okay, all that being said, pros and cons of Ligari. When I worked with Ligari, which I loved, I felt like I was in a rush. I probably took about 45 minutes to an hour to lay my whole kitchen out, and I felt like I was in a rush, and I just didn't have a lot of time to work with it. But Stone Coat, I felt like I had more time to work with it because I did the top coat. However, yeah, torching those bubbles, I did get a torch. There's still bubbles in my countertop, and I didn't have any of those issues with Ligari. So while no one will notice the tiny little bubbles just in a couple of sections in this countertop, it bothers me. And so I'm sure it's because I'm inexperienced with torching, okay? I'm not a professional, but I would say I'm a pretty dang good amateur. So all that being said, Would I do stone coat? Well, I would do exactly what I did. I'd use Ligari for my main, and then if you're gonna do a gloss where you know that you're not gonna put a top urethane, is that the word? Urethane coat? I don't know, y'all. If you're not gonna do a top urethane coat, then the art coat epoxy from Stone Coat, I would do the same thing again. Worst case scenario, if I mess this up and it scratches because I didn't do that urethane, I'm going with that word, y'all, because I didn't do a urethane coat on my island, well, worst case scenario, I just buff it down with a sander, put that top urethane gloss coat on, and we're good to go. Like, not that big a deal. So I'm just gonna test it, okay? All right, tips for epoxy. One, the biggest struggle I had was with the kitchen sink. In fact, I tested on 2 bathrooms, and that was my biggest struggle as well, were the bathroom sinks, because we couldn't take the sink out. If you can take it out, wonderful. That's the best way to do it. But I couldn't take the sink out, so I taped around it, and that's where I had the most problems. 2, do practice before doing your main area. If you're gonna do a kitchen, practice on your bathrooms first. You will learn more, okay? Each time you do an application, you're gonna learn something new. Do practice. I practiced on 2 vanities. Brilliant, okay? So those 2 are my biggest tips if you're gonna do epoxy. Oh, the third thing is they say anybody can do this, but listen, I watched a gazillion online YouTube videos to learn how to do this and learn the techniques. And with each application, the 2 bathrooms, I had learned some more things. Like, I didn't realize to get the effects I wanted, I really needed spray paint. And so they're just things that you're gonna learn along the way. Watch a gazillion, but they say anybody can do it, and I don't know if it's that easy, y'all. Anybody can do it. I also feel like you should have a little bit of some sort of art talent, even if it's not developed in you, because it would have been easy to mess up. I don't know. Those are my thoughts, okay? So definitely get a plan of what you want. I actually mapped it out on an iPad how I wanted my veins to go before doing it here. I messed up on a couple of countertops. They don't look bad. They're just not as professional looking. But yeah, so would I do it again? Heck yeah, all day long. Would I do it in a luxury home? That's a good question. It depends on, I don't know if the work that I put into the epoxy countertops would be worth it in a luxury home, because there's a big learning curve, and sometimes I'd rather just pay for my time back, okay? If I was on a budget with a luxury home, yeah, I would do it. I would definitely do it. If I wanted to save some money, heck yeah, they are that level of, okay? For me, what I did, and I've seen a lot of stuff.